The sun blazed overhead as I jogged up the last stretch of my driveway, sweat trickling down my spine. All I could think about was getting inside, cranking the AC, and grabbing a cold drink. Reaching into the pocket of my athletic shorts, I pulled out the garage remote, already picturing the shade inside. But something stopped me cold. The metal mesh garage door was halfway down, casting a strange crisscross shadow on the driveway. That wasn't normal. I took a cautious step forward and squinted through the opening, and that's when I saw it. A silver Mercedes-Benz parked neatly inside my private garage. At first, I froze, convinced I'd somehow jogged to the wrong house. But then I saw my recycling bin, the small cactus by the wall, and my dusty workbench. This was definitely my home, and yet, there it sat, gleaming, smug, like it belonged. I scanned the quiet cul-de-sac, confusion growing into irritation. Then I heard it laughter. I turned to see two women lounging across the street on their porch, sipping oversized iced teas. Both were broad-shouldered and wore outrageously bright floral dresses. One in an aggressive blend of orange and pink, the other a chaotic mix of purple and yellow. Their matching platinum bob haircuts gave them a cartoonish symmetry. They were watching the afternoon neighbor. One of them called, raising her glass with a smug grin. I crossed the street, pulse pounding, jaw tight. "Is that your car in my garage?" The woman in the orange-pink dress leaned forward. "Oh, honey," she cooed, gesturing toward herself. "That's my baby, Sarah. It just needed some shade." Your garage was wide open, looked so inviting. I blinked. "You parked in my garage without asking." The other one, decked in purple and yellow, scoffed. "You left it open. What do you expect? It's basically communal property now." "Excuse me?" I said, my voice sharpening. Sarah's smile widened. "We're on the HOA committee. That means shared resources. Technically, your garage falls under community zone regulations." I stared, stunned. "No, it doesn't. My garage is on my private lot." The other woman, later introduced as Nancy, snorted. "Maybe you should secure your property better. If you didn't want neighbors using it, you should have locked it up." I stood there speechless. These women had not only commandeered my garage, but were now gaslighting me into thinking I was the problem. "I need you to move your car." "Now," I said. Sarah leaned back, sipping her drink. "We're not home much during the day. It's not like we're blocking you." "It's not about being blocked," I snapped. "It's trespassing." Nancy waved a dismissive hand. "Oh, don't be so dramatic." I pulled out my phone and began recording. Their smugness didn't waver. Sarah chuckled. "Recording us? Gonna post it on TikTok?" "No," I replied. "I'm documenting your admission that you parked on private property without permission." Her smile faltered slightly. "Wow, hostile much? Maybe you don't belong in a shared community if you can't be neighborly. You have until tomorrow," I said, "to move the car. After that, I'll take action." Their laughter followed me up the driveway like a swarm of gnats. That night I barely slept. Who just moves into someone else's garage and acts like it's their right? The next morning, the car was still there. So I printed a bold red sign: "Private property, nitrogen monoxide parking, violators will be towed." I mounted it above the garage and taped another onto the Mercedes windshield. When I came back from work, both signs were gone. In their place, a yellow notice taped to my door: "You are in violation of HOA visual standards. Remove unauthorized signage immediately." I laughed out loud. Actually laughed. These weren't clueless neighbors. They were predators in floral camouflage. I marched to the HOA president's house. The balding, sunburnt man listened patiently. "They're not even on the committee," he said. "They just show up and complain about trash bins and barking dogs." "Then why do they think they can take over my garage?" "They can't," he replied flatly. They have no authority. That lit a fire in me. I returned home, typed up a second notice, this time citing local trespassing statutes and unauthorized vehicle storage laws. I printed it cleanly, taped it to the windshield, and snapped time-stamped photos for evidence. The next morning, it was gone. In its place, a crushed granola bar wrapper and an empty Starbucks cup on my driveway. That night, I heard Nancy giggling with a neighbor, mocking my voice. "I'll take action," she squealed, pretending to hold a phone. The next day, tire marks streaked across my lawn. Coincidence? I didn't think so. A line had been crossed. I sat at my dining table, watching the live feed from my security camera. The Mercedes sat there, unbothered, smug as ever, daring me to do something. So I did. The next morning, I waited. Sarah and Nancy strolled down the street, flip-flops clapping, sunglasses oversized, iced tea tumblers in hand. I watched from the window as they got into a neighbor's SUV. Off to brunch. Probably. 5 minutes later, I stepped outside. The garage gate was still half open. The Mercedes sat quietly inside. I walked to the side entrance, locked the mesh gate with a thick chain, and snapped a padlock in place. I took photos clear, time-stamped, indisputable. Then I uploaded a 10-second TikTok clip, the garage door shutting behind their car in slow motion. Captioned, "When How Koren steal your garage, so you steal their plans." Within hours, the video started going viral. That night, I packed my suitcase, locked the house, and headed to the airport. 10 glorious days of vacation awaited. I turned off my phone before takeoff. Let the Korens figure it out. Back home, the Koren sisters returned to find their prized Mercedes sealed behind steel mesh and chains. A note taped to the door read, "This vehicle has been secured for unauthorized trespassing. Owner unavailable. Access restricted until further notice." They panicked. "Nitrogen monoxide." No, Sarah wailed. "He didn't." "He did," Nancy muttered, wide-eyed. "He actually locked us out." From a nearby porch, Mr. Benson sipped his coffee like he was watching live theater. "Told you he warned you." Sarah turned, fuming. "This is illegal. He can't do this. It's not hostage-taking if you broke into his property," Benson replied, vanishing inside. "They tried calling me. No answer." They spent the next 2 hours pacing like zoo lions. A neighbor kid filmed them from behind a bush, snickering. At noon, Sarah called a tow truck. The driver, sunglasses and clipboard in hand, frowned. "Is this your garage, ma'am?" "It's community property," Sarah snapped. "Can you prove that?" "We're with the HOA, Nancy added quickly. He skimmed the papers they handed over. "This address isn't under your name. And you've got no keys." He shook his head. "Sorry, I can't help you." "That's trespassing." "What do you mean trespassing? It's our car." "Then don't park it in someone else's garage." He shrugged and drove off. The sisters were livid. Their faces red not from sunburn but fury. Nancy kicked at the grass. Now what? Sarah opened Facebook and began ranting in the neighborhood group. "If anyone sees a man named Ethan wearing white shorts and a god complex, tell him we're calling the police." And they did. An officer showed up an hour later, mid-50s, slight beer belly, mirrored aviators. He listened as Sarah flailed and shrieked about being victimized for using available community space. He stared at the locked garage, took some notes, and finally said, "Ma'am, this is a civil matter. You parked in someone else's private property. He didn't damage the car. File a claim in small claims court if you want recourse." "What about breaking and entering?" Nancy screeched. He raised an eyebrow. "He didn't break in." "You did. According to your own complaint, you never had permission." Sarah sputtered. But, "I'd advise against escalating," the officer said, turning and leaving. That night, my TikTok hit 600,000 views. The slow-mo garage clip set to the Mission Impossible theme became an internet gem. I uploaded updates from my beachside resort daily. Day 2, Koren's still carless. Day 5, they're walking to the grocery store now. Day 7, Mercedes still behind. Bars, they look 10 years older. The comments rolled in. Justice has never looked this satisfying. This man is the HOA Batman. They messed with the wrong garage. By day 3, the Koren sisters were begging neighbors for rides. Nobody offered. Day 4, they walked red-faced and breathless up the cul-de-sac hill to the local strip mall. Nancy collapsed halfway up, her sun visor flying into the bushes. Later that day, they returned to the garage bolt cutters in hand. They didn't know I had installed a motion-triggered alarm sync to my neighbor's ring cam. Moment Nancy raised the cutters, a piercing siren screamed through the air. They dropped everything and bolted like teenagers sneaking out past curfew. The footage hit Reddit. Went viral again. Day 6, a local radio station picked it up. Coming up next, Garage Justice, how one locked door became a national sensation. The neighborhood loved it. People who once feared the Koren twins were emboldened. One family took a photo in front of their garage. Iced tea glasses raised. Now that's how you chill in style. A kid taped a cartoon sketch to the gate of Mercedes behind bars. Caption "Free the Sea" in graffiti font. Nancy tore it down the next morning and screamed at a 12-year-old girl who wasn't even involved. Sarah tried to salvage their image with a sappy Facebook post about being misunderstood and punished for trying to be part of a community. It got ratioed within the hour. You weren't being part of the community. You were stealing from it. By day 8, cracks were showing. Sarah, once the proud queen of porch gossip, was now hiding behind oversized sunglasses even at night. Her face, usually painted with smug superiority, now looked hollow. Nancy had gone eerily silent. No more loud good mornings barked across the neighborhood. No more iced tea sessions with passive-aggressive commentary. They were unraveling, and their car? Still sitting in my garage, untouched, undisturbed. The ultimate monument to petty justice. Every day, a trusted neighbor sent me photos to confirm the padlock was intact and no one had tampered with the gate. The Mercedes, covered in a thin layer of pollen and neighborhood dust, had become a message board. Kids started using their fingers to write messages on it. Garage, sweet garage. Park better next time. Don't be a Sarah. The community had turned. These women had once ruled the street through manipulation and fake HOA claims. Now they couldn't get a wave or a hello. On day 9, someone filmed Nancy leaning, her forehead against the garage door, shoulders trembling. She wasn't screaming, she wasn't arguing, she was just deflated. That video of her silent breakdown went viral within hours. Over 2 million views. And I wasn't even back yet. That night, a final message came in through the neighborhood group chat. My neighbor forwarded it. Please. Does anyone know when Ethan is coming back? Sarah01 responded. I was watching the sunset dip behind the ocean horizon when I read it. The sea breeze smelled like coconut and salt. A waitress brought over a plate of grilled fish, smiling politely. I leaned back, took a sip of my drink, and smiled. Let them wait. Day 10 arrived. I packed up my things, checked out of the beachfront bungalow, and headed to the airport. My flight left just after midnight. I arrived home at sunrise, suitcase rolling softly behind me as I stepped onto my driveway. The air was crisp, the sky still painted with the gentle gray of early morning. The neighborhood was silent, until I saw them. Sarah and Nancy, standing on the sidewalk like twin gargoyles of floral vengeance. Their infamous dresses orange pink and purple yellow now. Wrinkled, faded and tired. Their once perfect hair now frizzy and clinging to their flushed cheeks. but their eyes lit up with fury the moment they saw me. "There he is," Sarah spat, marching forward. 10 days, Nancy said, her voice raw. 10 days without a vehicle. "Do you have any idea what you've done to us?" I stretched, rolled my shoulders, and smiled. "I do, actually. Around day 5, I figured it probably started to hurt." "This is illegal," Sarah snapped. "You can't trap someone's car like that. We're calling a lawyer." "You do that," I said, pulling a folded paper from my back pocket. "But first, you might want to read this." They stared at the document as if it were laced with poison. Release of claim and waiver of trespass liability. "What is this?" Nancy asked suspiciously. "It's a simple agreement," I said calmly. "You acknowledge that you entered and used my private property without permission. You agree that I'm not liable for any damage, wear, or loss your vehicle may have experienced while sitting there, completely untouched." "I'm not signing that," Sarah hissed. "Cool, then. The car stays." Nancy's face fell. "You can't keep it. That's not how this works. It's on my property. You left it there. I didn't touch it. Didn't move it. Didn't harm it. But you did illegally use my space. I'm offering a clean, peaceful solution. You sign. You go. Simple." Sarah clenched her jaw. "You tricked us. You literally admitted to using my garage because the door was open," I said. "That's like walking into someone's house and saying it's fair game because they forgot to lock it." They stood frozen, fuming, scanning the street. Neighbors had already begun peeking out. One was filming. Again, Nancy exhaled. "Fine, we'll sign it." Sarah glared at her, but, after a few seconds, gave a bitter nod. I handed them a pen. They scribbled their names like toddlers forced to write apology notes. "Thank you," I said, folding the paper neatly and slipping it into my pocket. I unlocked the padlock, removed the chain, and pressed the remote. The mesh door clanged open. Screeching slightly with age and drama fatigue, the Mercedes was still there pristine, if not for the dust and a massive white bird dropping squarely on the windshield. A thick Koren karma was etched in the dust on the driver's side. Nancy gasped. "Oh my God, my baby." Sarah clicked her tongue. "This is vandalism." "You parked it in someone else's garage for 10 days, I said. Consider it public commentary." Nancy slid into the driver's seat and tried to start it. The engine clicked, then sputtered, then died. She tried again. Nothing. "The battery's dead," she muttered, panicked. I shrugged. "You probably should have disconnected it before abandoning it. That's basic car care." Sarah stormed after me as I headed toward my front door. "You think this is funny?" I turned, looked her dead in the eye. "No, Sarah, I think it's justice." Behind her, Nancy slammed the door in frustration and got out, calling roadside assistance. It was a holiday weekend. They'd be waiting a while. I poured myself a tall glass of cold water and watched from my kitchen window. Their rage had deflated into something heavier, humiliation. The neighbors they used to bully now walked past them in silence, some smirking, others whispering. They hadn't just lost a parking spot. They'd lost power. 3 hours later, the tow truck finally arrived. The driver, a burly guy in overalls, stepped out, took one look at the scene, and chuckled. "Oh, you're the Koren sisters." "What?" Nancy hissed. He held up his phone. "Heard about you two on the radio. You're kinda famous." The car was jump-started and driven off my property. I didn't wave. I didn't smile. I simply watched from my porch as they turned the corner and vanished. Over the next few days, the Koren sisters kept their distance. No more porch lounging. No more iced tea. The Facebook group fell quiet. A strange golden silence blanketed the street, until the moving truck arrived. Late one morning, it pulled into the vacant house across the street. A family of 5 stepped out: mom, dad, and 3 identical boys no older than 7. Within minutes, the yard was alive with Nerf darts, scooter wheels, and the buzzing wail of toy sirens. Sarah and Nancy emerged like vampires blinking into the sunlight. They stood stiffly on their porch, arms crossed, scowling at the chaos. One of the triplets, while firing wildly, accidentally shot a Nerf dart that bounced off Sarah's shin. She gasped like she'd been struck by lightning and stormed across the street, finger wagging. "You need to control your children," she barked. The boy's mom stepped out, squirt gun in one hand, leash in the other. At the end of the leash was a massive golden Labrador, tongue out, tail wagging. "Boys," she called sweetly, "target practice." The kids turned in unison. Streams of cold water blasted across the lawn. Sarah shrieked as she was soaked from chest to knees. Nancy tried to flee but slipped on the curb and fell flat, groaning. The dog barked once loud and protective. I took a long sip of iced tea on my porch and whispered, "Welcome to the neighborhood." The laughter of the children blended with the angry cries of the Koren sisters. And somewhere in that chaos, I realized something. Karma hadn't just visited. It had unpacked its bags and moved in permanently.